and Corporate Resources Committee held on the 11th of June 2025. I can see that we have present Councillor Allison, Councillor Brogan, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Carmichael, Councillor Chalmers. Do we have Councillor Cooper? No. We also have present Councillor Cowan, Councillor Devlin. I have apologies from Councillor Donnelly, and we have Councillor Toner substituting for her. I have apologies from Councillor Fagan. We have Councillor Ferguson present. I have apologies from Councillor Miller. Do we have Councillor Dewar present as substitute? No. We also have present Councillor Handybode, Councillor Horn, Councillor Hose, Councillor Lambie. Do we have Councillor Loudon? No. We also have present Councillor Hugh MacDonald, Councillor McClymont, Councillor Leslie MacDonald, Councillor Elaine McDougall. Do we have Councillor McGeever? No. Councillor Razak? No. We also have present Councillor Ross, Councillor Scott and Councillor Williams, and there are also a number of officers present today. I'll hand back to yourself, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Do we have any declarations of interest? No, no declarations of interest. Can I refer you to item minutes of the previous meeting held on the 26th of March, and that's pages 5 to 12. Can we agree this as a correct record?
Agreed.
Thank you. Any comments? Questions? No, nothing. Minutes of the appeals panel held on the 27th of February. That's pages 13 and 14. Can we approve this as a correct record?
Agreed.
Thank you. And minutes of the recruitment committee held on the 23rd of April, and that's pages 15 and 16. Can we approve this as a correct record?
Agreed.
Thank you. Monitoring items, finance and corporate resources, workforce monitoring, the 1st of February to the 31st of March. That's pages 17 to 24. Michelle Milne, please.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to provide employment information from 1st of February to 31st of March relating to finance and corporate resources. You will see at section 3.1, this affirms the performance and monitoring reports that are submitted to committee on a regular basis. At section 4, second paragraph down, the resource absence figures for March 25 was sitting at 3.7%, and this figure has increased by 0.2% when compared to the previous month. And in the third paragraph down on that page, in that section, in terms of annual trends, the annual average absence for the resource for 24-25 is 3.5% compared to a council-wide average figure of 5.9%. On page 18 at section 4.2, in terms of occupational health referrals, there were 51 referrals made during this period, and this represents an increase of 10 when compared with the same period last year. You'll see at section 4.3 to 4.5, there was no accidents and incidents recorded during this period, no disciplinary hearings, no grievance or dignity at work complaints, and there were no leavers in this period who were eligible for an exit interview. You'll see at section 5 there's information on the staffing watch, which shows a decrease of 8 employees in post from the 14th of December 24 to the 8th of March 25. In sections 6 to 10 there are no implications to be considered, and I would refer committee back to section 2, recommendations to approve the following recommendations and note the information on employment. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Do we have any comments or questions? No, I don't see any. Can we agree the report?
Agreed.
Thank you. Moving on to council-wide workforce monitoring, 1st of February to 31st of March 2025. That's pages 25 to 44. Back to you again, Michelle, please.
Thank you. Similar to the previous report, however, this is monitoring information which is council-wide for the period 1st of February to the 31st of March 25. And again, similar to the previous report, section 3.1 provides an update on the performance and monitoring information. It regularly goes to committee. In terms of attendance information, it's section 4 in the report, which is the bottom 3 paragraphs on the page. Absence statistics for the council are included in appendices 1 to 8. The absence figure is 6.8, which represents a decrease of 0.2 when compared to last month's figure and has been an increase of 0.5 when compared to March 24. At the bottom of that page in the 3rd paragraph, you'll see there is a split in information in terms of APT and C absence rate has increased by 0.7. The teachers' figure increased by 0.4 and the manual workers' figure has increased by 0.3%. Turning over the page on page 26, you'll see that the average absence rate for the council for the financial year 24 to 25 is 5.9%. That compares to 5.38% for 23-24. Similar to previous reports, you'll see that psychological and musculoskeletal conditions are the main reasons for absence, and you'll see that those areas have increased by 523 days and 513 days respectively. It's section 5 on occupational health. There is information contained there on the number of referrals that have been made for occupational health support. There were 327 employees referred for medical examination. 323 attended physiotherapy treatments, with 73% remaining at work whilst undertaking treatment. 389 employees were referred to the Employee Support Officer. 87% stated that the reasons for these referrals related to personal reasons, and 204 employees were referred to PAM Assist counselling during this period. These referrals were made directly by employees, and work-related referrals accounted for 51% and 49% were for personal and other reasons. And you'll see as well that 52 employees were referred for cognitive behavioural therapy. Now, behind this is obviously a high-level summary. We're aware of the referrals and absence information by services and by resources and by individual employees. And we look at that detail and much more information when we are working with managers on a regular basis in terms of support and absences. In terms of accidents and incidents, at section 6 on that page, you'll see that there were 291 accidents and incidents recorded, and 151 of these have been investigated and categorised. And at the time of writing the report, 140 are still in the process of being investigated. And then there's a breakdown in that section which relates to minor accidents and incidents, and accidents that resulted in an absence either lasting 3 or 7 days or more. In terms of the bottom of page 26 and going on to the top of page 27, which is information on discipline, grievance and dignity at work hearings and mediation referrals, there's data contained in there. There were 32 disciplinary hearings held and concluded during that period, and action was taken in 30 of these cases, and 2 appeals were raised against the outcomes. You'll see that 78% of these hearings met the target in terms of the timescales to be convened. There was 1 appeal was heard by the appeals panel, and there was 4 grievance and 7 dignity at work complaints during this period, and 1 person submitted a referral for mediation. You'll see further down that page at section 8.2 in terms of analysis of leavers and exit interviews. There was a total of 60 employees leaving the council that were eligible for an exit interview, which was a decrease of 45 compared to the same period last year, and 13 exit interviews were conducted. At the bottom of page 27, you'll see recruitment monitoring information, which we regularly report on. That gives you an indication of during that period we received just short of 2,500 applications, and of these, 2,434 completed equal opportunities monitoring forms. There's a further breakdown in this section, and you'll see that 7 of 83 applicants were appointed who classified themselves as disabled. 6 of 81 applicants were of a black ethnic minority background, and there were no appointments related to veterans during this period. Sections 11 to 15, there are no implications to be considered, and I would refer committee back to section 2 of the recommendations to approve the monitoring information that's been presented in the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you very much, Michelle. Do we have any comments or questions? I don't have any comments or questions here. Can we agree the report?
Agreed.
Thank you. Moving on to Finance and Corporate Resources Plan, Q4, Progress Report for 24-25. That's pages 45 to 62 in your pack. Can I invite Tom, please, to speak?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, this is your regular report providing details of progress made against the resource plan. In this case, it covers the full year, April last year to the end of March this year. It comes, as usual, with 3 appendices, the first of which lists the resource outcomes that have been designed to help deliver on the Council plan and its outcomes and priorities. Appendix 2 is the main appendix. It provides details of progress made against the 37 performance measures that were agreed to be included in the resource plan for 24-25. And these are summarised in the table at 5.2. That's at page 46 in your papers. And you'll see there that of the 37 measures, 33 are showing at blue or green, 3 at amber and 1 at red. That single red measure is picked up for further scrutiny at 5.4 in your papers, and that is page 48. But the remainder of the report lists the key achievements within the resource over the period in question, although these are limited, of course, to those areas where we have our own outcomes within Connect Outcomes, and also our additional monitoring area of delivering the Council plan and achieving best value. I mentioned there are 3 appendices, so the last one is referenced at 5.5 in your papers. That's page 49. This is where we note any changes in the status of any of those measures which have taken place since you last received the report at the end of Q2. That's the paper. The recommendations are to note the contents of the report and those appendices. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. Any comments or questions? No. Can we agree to approve the report?
Agreed.
Thank you. Moving on to items for decision. This is Finance and Corporate Resources Plan 25-26. That's pages 63 to 82. And it's back to you, Tom.
It is. Thanks, Chair, again. So my last report was the final monitoring report for the Resource Plan 24-25. Well, this report brings you the Resource Plan 25-26 for your approval. As in previous years, all 5 resource plans have been prepared in line with common corporate resource planning guidance. They outline how each resource, including our own, will take forward the priorities and outcomes that are set out in the Council plan, and also how performance will be monitored as part of that. So you'll be aware that in recent years we've worked quite hard to make the resource plans a little bit sharper, a little bit leaner, if you like, but the approach to best value and to performance management remains the same. So you'll continue to get progress reports on this resource plan, should you approve it, at the end of Q2 and end of Q4. The plan itself is attached to Appendix 1, and it's structured around the headings that are summarised for you at 4.1 in this report. That's page 64 in your papers. And you'll see there them listed, and I draw your particular attention to section 4 in that list, because that's where you'll find details of the measures, the performance measures, and the actions that have been agreed for your approval for 25-26. So I'll take you to the recommendations if I can, and that's to approve the plan and the monitoring arrangements. That with your approval, the plan will then be published on the Council's website. And I'd note recommendation 3 that all the resource plans will be brought together as a pack and presented to the Exec Committee for noting after they've been approved by the relevant resource committees. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. Don't appear to have any questions or comments regarding this. Just want to thank you for this. It's a great piece of work. Thank you. Can we agree the report? That's pages 63 to 82.
Agreed.
Thank you. Revenue collection and approval for write-offs, pages 83 to 88. Craig, please.
Thank you, Chair. So the report advises committee of the collection performance for 12 months ending 31st of March 25, gives an update in terms of position for the non-domestic rates incentivisation scheme for the year, and also seeks approval for write-offs. Moving to section 4, provides confirmation of the current collection performance for the year, with council tax ahead of target, similar position in respect of non-domestic rates and sundry debt also being ahead of target. Section 5 confirms the arrears collection performance for the year, with council tax and also non-domestic rates both ahead of target and sundry debt behind target. Moving on to section 6, in respect to the non-domestic rates incentivisation scheme, the buoyancy target for the council for the year was set by Scottish Government at 0.9%, and we completed the year with a growth of 1.09%. Therefore, we exceeded the final target by 0.19, and that should result in additional income for the council of approximately £106,000. Scottish Government will confirm the exact value before payment is made. From previous experience, that can take some time to come through to the council. Section 7 details the proposals for write-offs for committee's consideration today. Includes council tax, and within that there's a bulk write-off for financial year 2001-2002. Other write-offs are noted as well, including non-domestic rates and also bid levies. For our committee, back to the recommendations. Point 1 being the performance in respect of collection be noted. Point 2, the current position in respect of the incentivisation scheme be noted. And the write-offs as detailed at bullet point 3 be approved. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Craig. Again, there's no comments or questions, so... Sorry. Oh, sorry. Councillor McDougall.
Hi, thanks, Chair, and thanks, Craig, for the report. I just wanted to comment on the point in the write-off section at page 85, 7.7, that the school meal debt write-off of £107,000 had been funded by a Scottish Government grant for this purpose. Just to highlight that. Thank you.
Craig, please.
No, thank you. That observation is correct. The council received £224,000 via Scottish Government grant for that very purpose, as outlined in the report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we agree the report?
Agreed.
Thank you. Information and Communication Technology, should just say ICT, it's easier, Asset Management Plan. And can I ask Murray, please, if you could speak to this report?
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon. This report presents the ICT Asset Management Plan for 25-26 to you today. The ICT Asset Management Plan, or AMP, is part of a suite of asset management plans the Council is required to have in place in line with CITFA guidance. Other AMPs cover areas including property, housing, roads and fleet. The plan is updated annually to reflect the current state of the ICT estate, and assets are rated green, amber or red. Those assets identified as red are typically coming towards end of supported or usable life, and this rating allows for the effective management of assets to meet the needs of the Council. The plan also now looks beyond the year ahead, with the aim of this horizon scanning to help with the asset planning life cycle and also related financial planning. ICT assets can be both physical assets such as laptops, desktops, servers, phone systems, etc. And can also be referred to as intangible assets, for example, many of the software applications in use across the Council. Section 5 of the report summarises the key activities and actions for the coming year. I draw your attention to section 5.2 of the report, which highlights key areas of activity focused on red and amber assets, which this year includes a range of server hardware and network hardware upgrades. These are typically rolling programmes of work as the assets across the estate reach the end of life, and it allows to maintain performance and security levels. There's also a continuation of a range of significant application replacement programmes, including the social work case management and integrated housing management systems. With introduction of 2 new cross-cutting reviews last year, activities focused on possible upgrades for our website and customer relationship management systems are under consideration, related to both the digital transformation and customer engagement reviews. Finally, we expect to see the completion of significant work to replace our regional network equipment, which is the foundation of the Council's data network across the area, and also upgrades required to allow us to meet the 2025 deadline from Ofcom for the cessation of the use of analogue telephony services. Field details of the current position of physical and software assets, including their rating, are within the plan itself, which is included in Appendix 1. Section 6.1 of the plan itself, on page 108, It identifies a range of actions planned to ensure that assets are managed effectively and efficiently through the year. And section 6.2 also provides information on those actions from last year's plan that were successfully completed. In terms of financial implications, funding is in place for the identified spend required in 25-26. And I'd refer our committee back to section 2 on the recommendations to note the report and that the ICT Asset Management Plan for 25-26 be approved.
Thank you very much. No comments, questions to this. Can we agree to note this report?
Agreed.
Thank you. Gaelic Language Plan 25-30, pages 111 to 138. Back to you, Michelle, please.
Thank you. The purpose of this report is to advise the Finance and Corporate Resources Committee of South Lanarkshire Council's third Gaelic Language Plan for 25 to 2030. You'll see at section 3 in the background, the Gaelic Language Scotland Act passed in 2005 is the reason for doing this, and as part of the Act, the Board na Gaelic, the board normally referred to, was created to develop and oversee the National Plan for Gaelic. At section 3.2, you'll see key features of the 2005 Act as a provision enabling the board to require a public authority to prepare a Gaelic language plan. This ensures that the public sector in Scotland plays its part in creating a sustainable future for Gaelic. At 3.3, you'll see that the Council has a statutory duty to develop a Gaelic language plan that endorses the commitments in the Gaelic Language Scotland Act 2005. At 3.4, you'll see that the Council first published its Gaelic language plan in 2013, and this is now the third publication. Turning over the page to page 112, at section 4, you'll see that the Gaelic language plan for 25 to 30 is attached to Appendix 1 and is a proportionate response to the statutory duty that the Council has, also acknowledging both the size of the Gaelic-speaking community and working within the financial climate that currently exists. At 4.1, we are being clear that the Gaelic Language Plan supports the aims of the National Gaelic Language Plan 23-28 and is written against the priority areas which are detailed in that section. Those are the bullet points in section 4.2. At 4.3, the development of the Gaelic Language Plan was a collaborative exercise with input across all resources and builds on the two previous plans. The board also supported the development of the plan. At 4.4, you will see that the Council was also required to undertake a public consultation on its plan and publish the findings, and a summary of the findings is available in section 1.6 of the Gaelic Language Plan, which is attached to Appendix 1. At 4.5, the Council is also required to provide a report to the board on that consultation, and that has been completed and is included at Appendix 2. And at 4.6, the Council's Gaelic Language Plan 25 to 2030 and consultation report will be published in Gaelic and English on the Council's website. Within sections 5 to 9, there are no other implications for committee to consider, and I would refer committee back to section 2, the recommendation, and the committee is asked to approve the Gaelic Language Plan 25 to 30 as attached to Appendix 1, and it be approved for final submission to the Board of Gaelic. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Councillor Toner, please.
Hi there. Hope you can hear me with the technology that's here. I'd just like to say I'm delighted that this report's come to a committee. Gaelic is one of my little things. I'm a shinty coach, and I regularly tutor at Greenfield High School in Candora. As far as I'm concerned, Gaelic is it's an oppressed language, which is now finally finding the freedom to find its feet. My children didn't personally go to Gaelic school. It was just impractical at the time, but they did go to Croylican, which is a Gaelic nursery and airdrie, and they still attend the Gaelic Fèis in Greenfields. So I'm just wondering, I mean, I stay in Hamilton, and I've stayed in Hamilton nearly all my days, but there just doesn't seem to be advertised at all about the Gaelic, the opportunities in Gaelic education that there are. I mean, I was a bit disappointed in the results of the survey and the sort of low uptake. And I'm just wondering, what are we doing to actually promote Gaelic education to new parents? There seems to be a lot of provision and promotion in North Lanarkshire, and the nursery provision, and they start in nursery and like the sort of Gaelic immersion nursery, primary school, and then in primary 4 they go on to learn English. A second language is amazing to have, and Gaelic just brings the kids on as far as I can see, and as far as what my knowledge of it is. So it's just to see sort of, like I said, how are we promoting this to new parents of nursery children and primary children, to what a wonderful opportunity that is for their children. Thanks.
Michelle, would you like to?
You'll see within the plan itself of giving some examples in terms of Gaelic in the home and some of the activities that are also being carried out and within the action plan in terms of going forward for community support and obviously in schools. But what I can do is I can link in with education resources and provide some fuller information on the activities that are taking place at this moment in time, and share that, and I can also link in with the board as well as education just in terms of those promotional activities and provide an update to committee.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Allison.
Curiosity and funding, Chair. Who funds the activities within this plan? Is it the Education Department, or are we fully funded by Scottish Government?
Michelle, please.
Jackie, just in terms of any funding around that. In terms of taking the actions forward, the purpose of the plan is that is inbuilt into the work that you're doing. As obviously a statutory obligation, it's not dissimilar to what we do in terms of other statutory obligations in terms of BSL or English as a second or other language, and obviously we've got translation services and interpretation services, so we are obliged as a local authority to provide those services just in terms of residents, visitors, employees within the council. So in terms of that, it's built into the work that we do.
Jackie.
Thank you. This is where you show me up, Alec, because I don't know off the top of my head the funding that we get for Gaelic in the council. Unless my colleague over in the corner knows, what I'll do is I'll find out exactly how much we get, and I'll let you know, if that's okay.
Thanks, Jackie. Chair, just a comment. I mean, if you look at that report, there's well over 50% of people do not appreciate the work that's done for Gaelic. And I kind of understand that it is a legal requirement, but at a time when we're struggling for funds to fund all the programmes that we want, I don't think members of the public would really condone as contributing significantly to a programme that very, very few people are willing to access.
Yeah. Jackie will get back to you, Alec, and in fact, all of us will be notified accordingly regarding an answer to your question. No other comments or questions? No. Can we agree the report?
Agreed.
Thank you. Amendment to the Local Government Pension Scheme Discretionary Policy. And back to you, Michelle, please.
Thank you. This is a report to update Finance and Corporate Resources Committee on the amendment to the Council's Statement of Policy on Discretions, and it relates to the statutory provisions within the Local Government Pension Scheme. Members will be aware that the Local Government Pension Scheme does have a core pension policy, and then each council has the ability to tailor elements of the scheme under what we call a discretion policy, and that's obviously published on our website. You will see at section 3, it covers background information, and it includes information on the discretions policy statement held with the council. At 3.2, it details who's obviously covered by the discretions policy scheme. That will be LVGB, CMIS, LLP and South Lanarkshire Leisure and Culture. And that was last approved at Finance and Corporate Resources Committee in March 2015. You'll see at the bottom of page 139 at section 3.3, it details the regulations within the list of discretions and what that relates to. And I would also add that the Council currently has provision for local government pension scheme members to make additional voluntary contributions, and you'll hear that being referred to as AVCs, and it's detailed later in the report as well. Turning over the page to page 140, you'll see that section 4 details the changes being proposed that be approved. And at 4.1, the proposal is to implement a shared cost additional voluntary contribution scheme via salary sacrifice. The scheme offers financial benefits to both employers and the pension scheme members by way of tax relief and reduced national insurance contributions. There is a saving linked to the introduction of this scheme, which was approved in the February 25 budget meeting. At 4.2, the Council is working to implement a salary sacrifice scheme and must consequently update its discretions policy to this effect. And obviously, at 3.2, I had detailed the regulations being enabled. At 4.3, an updated policy statement on the Council's employers' discretions is detailed in full at Appendix 1. And the Council policy in relation to all other employer discretions remains unchanged. So it's just this single change that we're asking for approval for today. At 4.4, when approved, the updated discretions policy will be published on the internet. It's a requirement to do that. And we're also required to advise SPF, which is Strathclyde Pension Fund, detailed at 4.5 of what we're doing in terms of the scheme and the discretions in the publishing of the policy. In terms of employee implications at section 5, scheme members with the opportunity, it provides scheme members with the opportunity to enter into salary sacrifice shared cost ABC arrangement. And the change is beneficial to employees as the new scheme will provide them with a tax efficient way in terms of saving for retirement when compared to the standard ABCs, although these options both will still remain available. At section 5.2 and 5.3, it details how members will be communicated to and how reporting on pension-related policy currently takes place within the Council. At section 6, financial implications, there are no additional costs associated with the information presented in this report. The administering of the salary sacrifice shared cost AVC scheme will be offset against employer savings which have already been taken. There are no other implications in terms of climate change, sustainability or the environment. In terms of other implications, it's important to note that the employer discretions policy is subject to regular checks. That is to see if it suits what we're doing in the Council, as well as picking up any regulatory changes that may take place, and that is monitored by the Head of Personnel Services. Section 9, local government pension scheme, in terms of doing an integrated impact assessment, is determined by pension regulations, so there's not a requirement to do that. The pension scheme itself, there are a number of discretions which are specific to age because it is about retirement, therefore age is associated with that. And there's details in there in terms of ages that will apply to. These age-related criteria are out with the Council's control since they're a requirement of the local government pension scheme regulations. To mitigate this risk, discretions are applied in a fair, consistent and transparent manner, coming to committee, publishing them on the website and communicating those changes. And you'll see at section 9.4, the trade unions have been made aware of this change through the JITUC executive. And I would refer committee back to the recommendations at section 2 to approve the following recommendations, to note the content of the report and that the revision to the policy statement in relation to discretions for the local government pension scheme be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. We have no comments and questions. Can we agree the report, please?
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you. Two items for noting. Review of procurement strategy 25-26, and that's pages 161 to 188. Craig, please.
Thank you, Chair. The report updates committee on the progress made with the Procurement Strategy Action Plan to March 25, presents the annual review of the strategy itself for 25-26, and also in line with that provides a new action plan for this year as well. Beginning with section 4, the strategy covering 2023 to 28 included 7 key strategic objectives. Appendix 1 is an update on each of these and also evidence of progress, with some highlights detailed in the bullet points below 4.1, including implementation of the new procurement and purchasing arrangement under Oracle Fusion, continuation of the Council's procured spend review project, and also increasing the level of spend with local enterprises in the first 6 months of 24-25. An update on the action plan itself is provided in Appendix 2. The rate actions included in the plan for the year, all of which were complete, with some highlights noted in the bullets at 4.3. In terms of the review itself, this is covered at section 5, and updated strategies included in Appendix 3 to the report. The 5.3 provides some detail in terms of the number of strategic objectives that have been expanded during the review. Then moving on to section 6, we mentioned there's a new action plan that accompanies the revisions of the strategy, and Appendix 4 details the action plan proposed for 25-26. 6.2, there's some highlights in terms of what the action plan seeks to achieve, including introduction of whole life costing for appropriate contracts, and also updates to the sourcing strategy and tender documentation, the Safe Staffing Act, Armed Forces Covenant, and also Breastfeeding Friendly Scheme. For our committee, back to the recommendations, and the content of the report be noted. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Craig. It's a very thorough report. Can we agree the recommendations on page 161, please?
Agreed, Chair.
And again, back to you, Craig's notification of contracts awarded from the 1st of October 24 to the 31st of March 2025.
Thank you again, Chair. So again, this report is for noting. It provides committee notification of contracts awarded by the resource during the second 6 months of our last financial year. I draw attention to Appendix 1. Includes details of contracts awarded for the period on the basis of lowest offer and or most economically advantageous offer that was submitted. And this report is for noting. Thank you.
Any comments, questions? No? Thank you. Can we agree the report?
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you. Item 15 is urgent business. I have no items of urgent business. Can I wish everyone a good day and have a wonderful summer? Thank you very much.